Now it's time for Desktop Discussions.
Hey folks, Sir Charles Carey, and welcome to Desktop Discussions. I think I've got a real live one for you here today. And the simple fact of the matter is, the lesson never leaves. Now, sometimes you may say, what lesson or what lessons are you talking about? And I come to realize, I don't know if it's because I've gotten older and I guess, more subtle in my thoughts, and I'm able to reflect and draw from those reflections, or if it's just how things occur to me. Doesn't really matter. Point is, sometimes when you go to school, traditional school, or if you go to workshops, if you're an entrepreneur, you may go to workshops and coaching sessions and conferences, and you remember you heard the presenter or a trainer say something, and it's like, oh yeah, and it dawns on you that at the time you heard it, it meant so much, and now here it is, a year later, 5 years later, whatever it is, and you're thinking about what that person said, and it's like an epiphany. Yet it was an epiphany the first time you heard it. So my point is, the lessons never leave us. Sometimes things reoccur to us when we need them most. And I'll be honest with you, as far as myself, I've gone through the gamut. And some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I want to go in depth here a little bit because I think it's important for people to understand. One, we're not the only ones that go through different challenges and changes in life, and that it's normal, it's natural that the challenges affect all of us at some point. And for some of us, it hits us really hard. So I know for me, I felt like, and I was really going through it. I felt like I didn't know how I was going to make it through. We all had, the pandemic, and not that the coronavirus is gone, but the pandemic status that we're in is been downgraded. The coronavirus is still around, but the status of pandemic has been downgraded. I say again. So my point is, everyone in the world was dealing with that. And for some of us, it didn't seem to matter. Many people lost their lives. And I know for myself, I said in the very beginning, I'll say maybe 6 months to a year in, or yeah, 6 months to a year in, I'm not impacted by it. It hasn't bothered me. I don't know why people are acting stressed out and things of that nature. And then one day it hit me. You have been impacted, Charles. Look at the way that your rationale, your level of patience, your sleep patterns. And I realized that I have been doing things outside of my norm. The way that I have responded was not the way that I typically would respond to things. And it really, I had to face the fact that, yeah, I've been impacted too. Now, maybe not as greatly as other people, but still, nevertheless, yes. And, some of these things have a way of making us feel a certain way and a certain way about ourselves. But see, you have to be able to come to the realization of who you are and how you are. And that's why I say the lessons never leave. For example, I do speaking engagements, I produce music, have done that for quite some time, almost all my life seems like. And you know, the way I felt about my craft, even that had changed, that had shifted. There were several things, I've taken a few notes. There were several things that I was working on that made me realize not only had I changed, but how much I changed, and that the change itself was negative. We talk about mental health a lot. And for me, I speak about mindset, being a peak performance strategist. You can hit different angles on peak performance, but as it leads to, or as it concerns mindset, that's your mental health, that's your focus, your ability to do a thing a particular way with a certain efficiency or proficiency. And my interest went down. My interest went down greatly. And I had to face the fact that that was my reality. I was in the middle of a production deal. I was working with some people, and that didn't pan out the way I thought. And as many people know, or should know if you don't know, I'm a very loyal person. If I'm with you 1000%, not 100, not 110, but 1000%. And I consider myself a very open, honest, clear, and direct person. I'm very truthful about what I'm doing, especially as it relates to communicating and engaging others. And when I find that there's any kind of a variable in those areas, you know, there can be miscommunication, which is not necessarily intentional. But when I find that there are variables, it makes me pause a little bit and look at things differently because I know my intentions are pure. Now, when I was younger, of course, you didn't have any experience. You may have done a bunch of stuff, but we're talking about the here and the now, not once upon a time. So I looked at the pandemic. I looked at, where my speaking business was, where the music business was, where the production deal was going. Having family issues, inner family issues. Dealing with aging mom or trying to deal with an aging mom. My children not being small children, but adult children, was still having concern for them. You take all of these components in life, and some say, well, that's just life. Yeah, that's just life in the midst of the bubble of the pandemic, plus your own personal interests, right? Outside of your business, outside of your job. And it was just becoming to be so much for me. I felt like I was actually about to implode. I couldn't focus. It felt like literally my head was filled with what I don't know, and it was shutting me down. And why am I sharing this? Because number one, the lessons never leave. The lessons that can save you or the lessons that trap you. And I had to realize that, no matter what kind of speaker I am, no matter how good I am, no matter what my interests are, why should I be spared? But here's the key. What was I willing to do about it? How could I, bring myself out of it? And that was the real. I had to learn how to bring myself out of all those challenges. Yes, some of them were negative, but sometimes they say God doesn't put more on you than you can handle. Now, regardless of what the amount of things are on you, if you can handle them, you have to learn who to go to for your resources and how to go about handling each and every issue. Sometimes it's one by one, and sometimes maybe they all may fall off at one time. But that was my reality. And I realized that, wow, I've got to do something, because I know I've got to be loyal to myself. I want to be loyal to the people around me. I want to be loyal to what I'm about. And the bottom line is, I must make a commitment in order to change my circumstances. I have to shift, transition, a metamorphosis of types in order for things to be better or for things to be different. And I have the opportunity to see better right before my very eyes and I can climb out. But if I can't climb out, I'm going to be in the same position. And for me, I know that there's more for me and there's better for me, and I'm here for a purpose. If you know my story about the substance abuse, you know about the cancer, I wasn't left here just to implode uh, in the midst of a pandemic. So I had to find a way out. So if you haven't written down anything, write down number one, an implosion is real and it comes in different forms. It could be personal, it could be social, it could be recreational, but it can be in different forms. Number two, you have to learn what loyalty really means to yourself, to others, to what you stand for what your purpose for being on this planet is all about. Number three, I'm going to look at the process of actually climbing out of that thing. Withdrawal, write that down. Withdrawal. Sometimes you have to withdraw from certain people, withdraw from certain activities, and withdraw from a certain mindset. They say garbage in, garbage out. So, what are you allowing into your mind, in your eyes, in your ears? You have to be willing to know how to withdraw so that you come out the victor, so that you come out the winner, so that you come out on top. I'm telling you, I know what I know. This is key. Now, I won't say that I'm the best in the world at this or that, but I'm the best version of me and what I do, how I do it, and how I deliver it. What are you the best at? You have to make that thing stand out, but you can't make it stand out if you're overwhelmed with life's tentacles, the various negatives, the various positives, because you won't even be able to appreciate the positives because there's too much minutia in the way. So withdrawal is key. Remember that. Withdrawal is key. Sometimes people are with you for a season, and sometimes people are with you for a reason. I'm sure you've heard that. And I know it's not always easy, but sometimes you must withdraw from certain people. I tell people that your mind is your vault. Your ideas, your products, all that stuff, that's your currency. And you have to keep it locked in your vault at times. You can't share too much before it's time for it to be revealed. But many of us don't get that message. We don't get that lesson. And we tell everybody about everything we're doing, everything we're thinking. And some people will sin on it. Some people will squander it. Some people will talk about it. Some people will steal it. Some people will share it. Some people will downplay it. And then that great idea becomes so minuscule. So here's the thing. Remember your ideas, where you're planning on going, all the things that are important to you, that's your currency. And you must keep it in your vault. Here's the other thing. Sometimes the people we want to share are very close to us. And sometimes those very people we might share a pillow with. And sometimes the fact of the matter is those people are negative. And if they are negative, I'm sorry, my friends, you cannot share everything with everybody. You just cannot. So if you can't separate proximity, you must separate your mental space. So in other words, if you can't keep them from away from you because you live in the same house, the same apartment, right? You're riding the same car and all that. Your thoughts and ideas, they have to be private if they are a quote unquote negative person. So if they are a negative person, do your due diligence, do your best to make sure you secure you. You have to take care of you and your dreams, hopes, and wishes the best way possible. You see, you're here for a reason, just like I am. And if you're here for a reason that may uh, introduce a cure for something, well, you don't want that to be squandered or suppressed because of someone else's negative thinking, jealousy, envy, whatever it may be. Just do you. Now, here's another key. This is a bonus key in between the last point. You should be focusing on what you do best and what you're most interested in, because those are the things in the areas that you will flourish. If you don't focus on what you do best and what you're most interested in, it's almost null and void. Now, many people do get exceptionally good. They do extremely well at things that are not their purpose, and they make lots of money, get lots of fame, lots of acclaim. But on the inside, sometimes those same very people are not fulfilled. Yet, if you're doing what you want, what you're gifted at, what your talent is supposed to be about, you will be fulfilled to no end. And there's no one that can take that away from you. That's a bonus, right? So the next thing is to know that after you have withdrawn from negative input, negative people, and let me just expand on the negative input. The negative input could be clubs, bars, it could be people, obviously, it could be platforms, social media, it can be YouTube, you know, the algorithms are designed to give us more of what we pay attention to. So if you find that you pay attention to things that are negative or that don't have a lot of fruit to bear, well, you're going to get more of that in your feed, in your notifications. So if you're able to withdraw from that and reconnect, this is the thing, reconnect and recommit to the genuine aspect of who you are and where you're supposed to go, you will feel fulfilled again. You will feel free. You will feel happy. You will feel like you have a new lease on life. And that overwhelming mushroom cloud that's making you feel like your brain is about to implode, or the sadness or the fatigue that you constantly are experiencing, it will soon dissipate. Literally, it will go away. I was telling my story to one of my good friends, and he was saying, "Yo, man, you need to tell the people about that." And I've done it in dribs and drabs, but this is the most in-depth discussion I've had with you about what I was going through over the past few years, especially not realizing it in the first year or so. And when I did realize it, I had to do things. So, other than withdrawing, recommitting, I began exercising. I began spending more time with my craft, and that began to take me out of that dark space. So if you are going through a dark time or dark space and you can't find your way out, sometimes you may need to speak with someone. Sometimes you may need to speak with a coach. You may need to speak with a mentor, a spiritual leader. You may need to speak with a friend, someone that will tell you the truth. It's a no nonsense person, but also they will try to guide you and give you sound doctrine, sound advice. But it's most important that you recommit to who you are, and where you are going. And I truly believe that. I think that it's important that we have positive influences in our lives, and that we do the things that make us better. And a lot of times we just don't know how to do that. So I'm going to suggest that you go to my website, sircharlescarryinc.com. Maybe pick up the Radiate the Brain book series, because I know that it offers a lot of the tools. The philosophy that I live by basically comes from those books, and many of them have been forwarded or endorsed by people like Dr. Willie Jolly, Dr. Del Toro, McNeil, and many, many others. Simon Bailey. You can see for yourself. I don't need to throw the names at you. Go see for yourself, or you can go to WordsmithSpeakersAlliance.com. Just look for Sir Charles Carey or any other book that you may be interested in, and you will see exactly what I am talking about, because I truly believe that if it's to be, it's up to us. It's great if someone can come in and save us, but a lot of times that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work that way, and we have to be prepared to be a good participant in our own rescue. And with that being said, you know the rest. And until next time.